March the 23rd, 1945. Near Speyer, Germany. Staff Sergeant Edward A. Carter, Jr. was leading a patrol when German machine guns opened fire. The patrol scattered. Men were pinned down. The mission was failing. Carter looked at the situation. German positions 150 yards away. Open ground between him and them. His men unable to advance. And this 34-year-old sergeant who'd already fought in 2 wars before World War II, who spoke 5 languages, who'd lived on 3 continents, did something extraordinary. Carter stood up and charged the German positions, alone, across 150 yards of open ground, under fire from multiple machine guns. He was hit in the arm, kept running, hit in the leg, kept running, hit in the shoulder, went down, got back up, kept moving. He crawled the final 30 yards, threw grenades into a German position, killed the crew. Then he heard German voices from a nearby building. Carter, wounded 3 times, bleeding, in pain, kicked in the door and captured 2 German soldiers at gunpoint. He interrogated them in German, extracted intelligence about German positions and strength, then sent them back to American lines with critical information while he provided covering fire. By the time American medics reached him, Carter had charged 150 yards under fire, been wounded 3 times, killed 6+ Germans, captured 2 German prisoners, extracted tactical intelligence. All alone, his company commander recommended him for Medal of Honor. He received the Distinguished Service Cross. The Medal of Honor went to white soldiers with similar or lesser actions. Edward Carter died in 1963, never knowing he'd earned the Medal of Honor. In 1997, 34 years after his death, President Bill Clinton posthumously awarded him the Medal of Honor in the same ceremony as Vernon Baker. This is day 13 of 100 days of World War II heroes. The story of Edward Carter, the soldier who fought in the Chinese army at 15, the Spanish Civil War at 17, and WWII at 34, who spoke 5 languages, who charged German positions alone, and who was denied the Medal of Honor for 52 years because of the color of his skin. The most unusual childhood in the U.S. Army. Edward Allen Carter, Jr. was born May 26, 1916 in Los Angeles, California. But that's where normal ends. Edward Carter's childhood was unlike any other soldier in World War II. The parents, missionaries. Carter's parents, Edward Carter Sr. and Mary, were missionaries. Deeply religious, committed to spreading Christianity. Willing to go anywhere in the world, 1920. Age 4, moving to India. When Carter was 4 years old, his parents moved the family to India to do missionary work. Carter grew up in India, learned Hindi and other Indian languages, lived among diverse cultures, saw poverty and wealth side by side, developed adaptability. 1927, age 11, moving to China. When Carter was 11, his parents moved again, this time to Shanghai, China. Shanghai in the 1920s to 30s. Shanghai was an international city, Chinese, British, American, French, Japanese populations, major trading port, political tensions, Chinese Civil War, Japanese aggression. Dangerous, exciting, chaotic. Carter's education. In Shanghai, Carter attended international schools, learned Chinese, Mandarin, already spoke English and Hindi, later learned German and Spanish, 5 languages total, the unusual skills. Growing up in India and China gave Carter unusual skills. Cultural adaptability, lived in 3 countries by age 11. Language abilities, 5 languages. Understanding of different peoples, comfort with chaos and danger, self-reliance. Teenage years. Shanghai, 1930s. Carter's teenage years in Shanghai were tumultuous. Japanese aggression against China, increasing Chinese nationalist versus communist tensions. International city becoming more dangerous. Carter watching these conflicts firsthand. 1931, to age 15, joining Chinese army. At age 15, Edward Carter made an extraordinary decision. He joined the Chinese Nationalist Army to fight against Japanese aggression. Why? Felt sympathy for Chinese people, had lived there for years, saw Japanese aggression as wrong, wanted to fight for justice. Adventurous spirit, service in Chinese army. Carter served in the Chinese Nationalist Army. Combat against Japanese forces, learned combat skills, saw war firsthand. Age 15, 16. This was insane American teenager fighting in Chinese army. 1932 to 1936, returned to United States. Around 1932 to 1933, Carter returned to the United States. Back to Los Angeles area, readjusted to American life. But restless, he had seen too much, worked various jobs. 1936, age 20, Spanish Civil War. In 1936, Civil War broke out in Spain. Republican government versus fascist forces. Led by Franco, international volunteers flocked to Spain, seen as fight against fascism, the Abraham Lincoln Brigade. Carter joined the Abraham Lincoln Brigade, American volunteers fighting for Spanish Republic against Franco's fascists, backed by Hitler and Mussolini. Idealistic young men fighting fascism, communists, socialists, and others who opposed fascism. Carter's service, 1937 to 1938. Carter fought in Spain. Combat experience. Fighting alongside international volunteers. Saw brutality of war, wounded at least once. Age 21, 22. The significance? By age 22, Edward Carter had fought in Chinese Army, age 15, 16. Fought in Spanish Civil War, age 21, 22. Seen combat in 2 wars, more combat experience than most WWII officers, spoke 5 languages, lived on 3 continents. But this Spanish Civil War service would haunt him later. 1938 to 1941, back in United States, Carter returned to the U.S. Around 1938, worked various jobs, married, 1940, started family. But war was coming. Pearl Harbor, December 7, 1941. When Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, Carter was 25 years old. He immediately tried to enlist. The problem, Spanish Civil War. The U.S. military was suspicious of Abraham Lincoln Brigade veterans. Many had communist sympathies. U.S. saw communism as threat. FBI investigated Lincoln Brigade members. Carter's background raised red flags. Enlistment 1941. Despite suspicions, Carter was allowed to enlist in September 1941, before Pearl Harbor. Why accept him? Needed soldiers, war coming. Carter's combat experience valuable. Languages useful, spoke 5. Decided to watch him. Basic training, 1941. Carter went through basic training. Already had combat experience. China, Spain. Training was easy for him, stood out immediately. Natural leader. The contradiction. Carter was experienced combat veteran, 2 wars, spoke 5 languages, valuable for intelligence, natural leader, men followed him, but he was black, segregated army. He had Spanish Civil War service, suspected communist. Army didn't trust him. Assignment, segregated unit. Carter was assigned to a segregated quartermaster unit. Service supply work, not combat role. Waste of his skills. Carter's frustration. Carter was frustrated. He'd fought in 2 wars. He spoke 5 languages. He had more combat experience than most officers, but he was relegated to supply work because of his race. 1942 to 1944, service units. For 3 years, Carter served in service units. Quartermaster duties, logistics, never sent to combat, promoted to staff sergeant based on competence, but not utilized properly. 1944, the manpower crisis. By late 1944, the U.S. Army had a problem. Heavy casualties in Europe, infantry replacements needed urgently, not enough white infantrymen, desperate situation. The solution, black volunteers. Army asked for black volunteers to serve as infantry. Unprecedented, black soldiers mostly in service roles. Volunteers would join white units, first step toward integration. Risky move, Carter volunteers. Carter immediately volunteered. Finally, combat duty chance to use his skills, prove himself, age 28. Training infantry school. Carter went through infantry training, easy for him, already combat veteran. Excelled at everything, natural soldier, obvious leader. Assignment, 56th Armored Infantry Battalion. Carter was assigned to Company A, 56th Armored Infantry Battalion, 12th Armored Division. The 12th Armored Division, Hellcat Division, newly formed division, deploying to Europe late in war, would see heavy combat. Deployment, late 1944. Carter deployed to Europe in late 1944, finally in combat role. Age 28, older than most soldiers. More combat experience than anyone in his unit, ready to prove himself. First combat winter, 1944 to 45. Carter saw combat in France and Germany. Fighting German forces, winter conditions, proved himself quickly natural combat leader. His men. Carter's fellow soldiers quickly realized he knew what he was doing 2 previous wars. He kept them alive. He led from front. They trusted him. March the 23rd, 1945. The action that defined him. The mission. Carter's company was attacking towards Speyer, Germany. Carter was leading a patrol to probe German defenses. The patrol. Carter, patrol leader, staff sergeant. Several other soldiers. Mission, find German positions, gather intelligence, the contact. As the patrol advanced, German machine guns opened fire. Multiple positions. Interlocking fire. Americans pinned down. Men scattered. The situation. Carter assessed. German positions approximately 150 yards away. Open ground between Americans and Germans. Men pinned down, unable to advance. Mission failing. Carter's decision. Carter made his choice. Charged the German positions alone. The charge. Carter stood up and ran toward the German positions. 150 yards of open ground. Multiple German machine guns firing at him, running through bullets alone. First hit, 50 yards. German machine gun fire hit Carter in the left arm. Bullet wound, painful bleeding. Carter kept running. Second hit, 75 yards. Another hit, this time in the left leg. Leg wound, harder to run, more blood. Carter kept moving. Third hit, 100 yards. Third hit, shoulder. Serious wound. Carter went down. Carter's response. Carter got back up. Started crawling toward the German position. Wounded 3 times, bleeding heavily. Still moving forward. Still attacking. 120 yards. The grenades. Carter crawled close enough to throw grenades. Tossed grenades into German machine gun position. Explosions. German crew killed, wounded. Position neutralized. The building. Carter heard German voices from a nearby building. More Germans inside, too. What most men would do. Most men wounded 3 times, bleeding in pain, would call for medics, withdraw, mission accomplished. Killed machine gun crew. What Carter did. Carter crawled to the building, kicked in the door, and entered with his rifle ready. Inside. 2 German soldiers inside. Carter covered them with his weapon. Interrogation. Carter, fluent in German, interrogated the prisoners. How many Germans in area? What units? Where are positions? What strength? The Germans, shocked by this wounded American speaking perfect German, answered. The intelligence. Carter extracted critical tactical intelligence. German unit strength, position, locations, defensive plans, all while wounded and bleeding. The escort. Carter ordered the 2 German prisoners to walk back to American lines. He provided covering fire, wounded 3 times, still functioning. Sent prisoners back with intelligence, stayed in position. The medics. When American medics finally reached Carter, they found 3 gunshot wounds, arm, leg, shoulder, significant blood loss, dead Germans around him, 6 plus killed. 2 German prisoners sent back with intelligence. Carter still alert, still fighting. The scorecard. March 23rd, 1945. Carter's actions. Charged 150 yards under fire. Wounded 3 times, kept fighting. Killed 6 plus Germans. Destroyed machine gun position, captured 2 German prisoners. Interrogated them in German, extracted tactical intelligence. Sent intel back to command, all alone. The recommendation. Carter's company commander immediately recommended him for Medal of Honor. Extraordinary heroism. Wounded 3 times. Kept fighting. Single-handedly destroyed German position. Captured prisoners and extracted intelligence. Language skills proved value. All criteria met. What he received. Distinguished Service Cross, 2nd highest award. Why not Medal of Honor? Because Edward Carter was black, and because the Army still didn't trust him. Spanish Civil War background. The rest of the war. Carter recovered from his wounds, returned to duty, continued fighting until VE Day. May 8th, 1945, survived the war, applying for commission. 1945. After the war, Carter applied for officer commission. His combat record was exemplary. His experience was unmatched. His skills were proven. He deserved promotion. The rejection. The Army rejected his application. The reason? FBI investigation revealed Carter's Spanish Civil War service. Abraham Lincoln Brigade. Suspected communist sympathies. Security risk. No commission. The irony? Carter had fought for America in World War II, been wounded 3 times in one action, received Distinguished Service Cross, but was denied commission because he'd fought against fascism in 1937. Post-war life, 1945 to 1963. Discharge. Carter was discharged from Army. Staff Sergeant, Distinguished Service Cross combat veteran, no officer commission. Civilian struggles. Carter struggled in civilian life. Discrimination against black veterans. FBI continued watching him. Communist suspicions. Difficulty finding good jobs. Frustration at treatment. Family. Carter had a family. Wife, Mildred, children, tried to provide for them. Worked various jobs. The bitterness. Carter was bitter. He'd given everything for America, fought in 3 armies, wounded multiple times, decorated for valor, but treated as second-class citizen and security risk. 1963, death. Edward Allen Carter, Jr. Died in 1963 at age 47. Cause, lung cancer. Possibly related to combat exposure. He died. Never knowing he'd earned the Medal of Honor. Never receiving the commission he deserved. Never seeing the recognition his actions warranted, still under FBI suspicion. 1963 to 1997, forgotten. For 34 years after his death, Carter was forgotten. No Medal of Honor, no commission, no recognition, just another black veteran who'd been denied. 1993, the study. The same 1993 Army study that found Vernon Baker, day 10, also found Edward Carter. Clearly deserved Medal of Honor, denied because of race, posthumous upgrade warranted. 1997, the ceremony. January 13th, 1997, the White House. President Bill Clinton awarded Medal of Honor to 7 Black World II soldiers. Vernon Baker, only living recipient, day 10. Edward A. Carter, Jr., posthumous, received by son Edward III. John R. Fox, posthumous. Willie F. James, Jr., posthumous. Reuben Rivers, posthumous. Charles L. Thomas, posthumous. George Watson, posthumous. Carter's son, Edward Carter III, received his father's Medal of Honor. 34 years after his father's death, 52 years after the action-emotional ceremony, father vindicated. Clinton's words. Today we fill the gap in that picture and give a group of African-American soldiers the recognition they have long deserved. Carter's son's response. My father served his country with honor. He deserved this recognition. I'm grateful he's finally receiving it, even though he didn't live to see it. The tragedy. Unlike Vernon Baker, who lived to age 90 and saw his recognition, Carter died at 47 decades too soon. 2014 additional recognition. In 2014, the Army granted Carter a posthumous commission to second lieutenant 69 years after he applied. Better late than never, but too late for Carter to know. The legacy. Military, one of 7 Black WWII Medal of Honor recipients, 1997. Symbol of both heroism and discrimination. Example of wasted talent, languages, experience ignored. Proof system, failed black soldiers. Personal, most unusual background, fought in 3 armies. Most diverse experience, 5 languages, 3 continents. Most combat experience before WWII, China, Spain. Least recognition during life. Historical, reminder that heroism doesn't always get recognized. Proof that race-determined awards, example of FBI overreach. Communist witch hunt, symbol of black soldiers' contributions and mistreatment. The numbers. March the 23rd, 1945. Distance charged under fire, 150 yards. Wounds sustained, 3, arm, leg, shoulder. Germans killed, 6+ German prisoners captured. 2 prisoners interrogated. 2 in German. Intelligence extracted. Yes. Critical tactical info. Times kept fighting after wounded. 3, life, born, May 26, 1916. Lived in India, age 4. 11 lived in China, age 11, 16, plus Chinese Army, age 15. 16, 1931 to 1932. Spanish Civil War, age 21. 22, 1937 to 1938. 1-2 enlisted, age 25, 1941. WWII action, age 28, March 23, 1945. DSC awarded 1945. Died 1963, age 47. Medal of Honor, 1997, 34 years after death. Commission granted 2014, 51 years after death. Languages, English, Hindi, Mandarin, Chinese, German, Spanish, 5 total. Armies, Chinese Nationalist Army, Abraham Lincoln Brigade, Spain, U.S. Army, 3 total. Awards, Medal of Honor, 1997, posthumous. Distinguished Service Cross, 1945. Bronze Star, Purple Heart, 3 wounds. Combat Infantryman Badge. The comparison. Vernon Baker, a day 10. Black soldier denied Medal of Honor. Received DSC 1945. Medal of Honor 1997. 52 years later. Lived to see recognition, age 77. Died 2010, age 90. Edward Carter, day 13. Black soldier denied Medal of Honor. Received DSC 1945. Medal of Honor 1997, 52 years later. Died before recognition, 1963, age 47. Son received medal, both heroes. Both denied. One lived to see justice, one didn't. March 23rd, 1945. Near Speyer, Germany. Staff Sergeant Edward Carter charged 150 yards under fire, alone. Hit in arm, kept going. Hit in leg, kept going. Hit in shoulder. Went down, got up, kept going. Killed 6+ Germans. Captured 2. Interrogated them in German. Sent back intelligence. All while wounded 3 times. Earned Medal of Honor that day. Received Distinguished Service Cross. Died 1963 at age 47, never knowing. 1997. Son received Father's Medal of Honor. 34 years too late. That's Edward Carter, a soldier who fought in 3 armies before age 22, who spoke 5 languages, who charged German positions wounded, who was denied recognition for 52 years because of his race and his ideals, who died too soon to see justice.